Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Sunday Sundae podcast. Hope everybody's had an amazing week. So we're just going to jump in and have a conversation. This week for me, has been really, really heavy. Just some background information. We had some huge electrical issues happening at our house that are going to cost a ton of money to fix. So, when you go through something like this, you start figuring out how you can make things work. How are you going to fix the problem? So to give you guys a little bit of background, and of course, all the Sundays here know a bit about my background. So I'm married. I've been married for, gosh, I don't remember, 11 years. Of course, I love my husband. And as many of you out there know, relationships are not always easy. Relationships definitely have their ups and downs. So do marriages. My husband and I went through kind of a rough patch where we decided that we needed to separate. We didn't divorce, but we kind of went our separate ways. We sold our marital home. I bought my house and he bought his. So I lived in my home for about 6 years. Back in fall of 2023, we did reconcile, and I moved to his home, and my home is rented. So as we're facing, this really big hurdle, really big expensive hurdle, one of the options that came up was to sell my house, to sell my rental home. There's just something in me that is having a hard time with that. I'm pretty aware of my thoughts. I'm pretty aware of my thought patterns. And I know why. I know why I'm sort of hesitant to do that. When stuff happens, I share it with the group, and my sister called me, and she called me on it because she knows my heart. She knows my mind, probably sometimes better than I do. And my husband's like that too. And my sister said to me, "You're hanging on to that house as your plan B, as your backup, as your ticket out." And I know that. Like, I know in my heart of hearts, I know that. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to get some support and some feedback and some wisdom from this wonderful group of friends that I have. How do you go all in when there's been hurt and there's been things that make you go, I wonder if this is the right relationship? And again, we separated for 6 years, but we never got divorced. We stayed friends. We were in each other's lives. We'd spend Christmases together, holidays together, but we just chose to live apart. And so again, when it comes to selling that house, that means I'm all in, right? That means there's no plan B. That means there's no way out.
There's no
And
safety net.
thank you. That's the right word.
Him.
It's just him.
It's your marriage.
So that's what's on my heart. Go.
Wow, Paula, that was a lot you just unpacked. Like, really, you caught me off guard with that one. Can I go first, ladies?
Yeah, go.
I just want to say, first off, I love your openness to share such a vulnerable moment, because that's vulnerable information. I am reminded of trials that come up, and how am I going to make it through? How am I going to get through this? Where do I turn? What do I do? But the biggest thing is I'm a newlywed. I trust my husband and I trust my marriage, but I never really thought in depth of what it really meant to kind of like separate and sell, or even be on that level. So that kind of like invoked a small little, prick in me when I heard you say that, because wow, am I totally invested? Am I totally in the trust of my marriage for my husband and for our union? Is there anything holding back? Because we're a fresh slate, but I've been hurt in the past from past relationships. So you really invoked something on the inside to make me think about that. So
I find this to be a very interesting topic, because in my most recent relationship, I picked up and left from an apartment, a safety net apartment that I had for 10 years. And that apartment saved me. In Denver, it was a 3-bedroom apartment, 2-bath for $1,400, which you cannot find in Denver. I moved into that apartment based on my income, which at the time was very low. And I would no longer qualify at this point in time to even live there. So when I met my husband, I held on to it for a year. I let my daughter live in it. And then I was like, okay, I can either hold on to this, I can let someone else live there, or I have to let it go. And I let it go because I fully trusted in that marriage. And we know how that has ended. And he had his house that he rented, and he was going to sell it until I put the thought of that being his safety net into his head. And so he held on to it, and he is now living in it. I let my safety net go. He did not. And I think it's very brave of you to fully trust in your marriage and in your relationship, because I did. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Mhm.
Having faith and believing in your marriage, I say do it. I say go for it. I say take that leap of faith. Because
That's what it is.
it's just a piece of property, and you can get another one if you need to. I mean, but I wouldn't even go there, you know. It's physical. It's physical. It's a building.
Unless you're someone who worked really hard to get that property and you're like, ouch, I don't want to, like it's
Like my
someone of
mom.
like, yeah, low income or struggling. It's in a woman's nature it's not even in a woman's nature, I don't think. I think it's like a biblical thing, if I may say that a wise woman would set up other resources in the background. So like that's even outside of your husband knowing, I think. So I don't know.
Mhm.
It's so interesting that you brought that up, Savvy, because this is something that I am actually currently working through right now. As ladies all know, but our listeners, my husband and I were separated also a few years back, and I've really been working on my part in our relationship and cleaning up the things that I know I'm responsible for that contribute to some of the negative things that happened in our relationship. We've been together for decades, a very long time, and kind of grew up together. So we have that dynamic too, which is beautiful and challenging both at the same time. We live in this dualistic world and everything in life, right? And especially my relationship. One of the things that I've really been wrestling with is the finances and my need to control certain things in my life and how I don't feel like everything is going to be okay, or I don't feel safe if I don't have control over certain things. But when I've really sat down to analyze some of those things, my fears are very rational because we've struggled with finances over the years, and I've had a job change that's made things a little bit less concrete for us. And right now I realize the biggest thing is that I actually really want to hand the finances over to my husband. I really am so exhausted from it, of trying to play the mental gymnastics all the time, and then not communicating enough with him about what's going on in our finances. I think I am, but then really I'm just managing all of it, and he doesn't really understand a lot of it, and then I get mad at him because he doesn't understand certain parts of it. I'm coming to the point where I want to do that, and I am so scared to do it because what if we don't have our home payment, made on time? And what if, something falls through the cracks? And what if? And then I think there's always, things always work out, that way. And if I just trust him to do that, he probably would feel more valued in our relationship also. And it's the trust and the belief and the knowing that I know he can do it. And I think with me holding on so tightly to that, he's probably feeling a little bit not able, I shouldn't say a little bit, probably a lot, not able to stand firmly in his role as the man in our relationship. So I'm having to take a look at that right now and recognize, like, it's really not healthy for me to be doing that in our relationship. But then it also brings up, what if things don't work out and I don't have a nest egg and he's managing all of it? And what if things go wrong? And because I've heard that too, where women should keep something on the side, don't tell anybody about it. And then I think, am I really being authentic in my relationship?
Yeah.
That's all the stuff that's coming up for me right now. It's so timely that you brought this up, Paula, for me.
It's like we're all in sync.
Paula, very interesting topic that you picked, and I bet it's not easy to be vulnerable, especially not just to your tribe, but to people who are listening out there. What I would say is marriage is a big commitment. We all have had past, we all have relationships, but relationships take time to build trust. And finance is a very, very important topic, which we should discuss with our partner. Like how Erin mentioned, yes, you should have something for your side, on the side, which is for you, which is your protection net. But also you should have the trust and verify it. And when you reach that point, whether it's a partnership, whether it's a marriage, then you should be able to let go. Have a conversation with him. That's what I would do. How you feel, get your feelings validated. When you feel secure, maybe you can sell it, maybe you can just give it to your kids, maybe you can rent it and have that income as safety net for both of you.
Mhm.
I know it's not going to be easy. It's a very tough call, yes, and especially when I think when people are married, you reach that point when you're not inhibited, when you're sure about that person, when you have that emotional, spiritual, physical, financial trust on that person. So have a conversation with him, be vulnerable with him. And just as I'm sure what I know about you is you love making notes. You love to take notes, you take notes of what we are saying. You also talk to him and take notes of what he say. Absolutely. So go ahead with the leap of faith. And I'm sure you will do the right thing.
Thank you, Minu.
I think it's really important to trust not just your husband, but trust yourself. We have female intuition, which is so powerful, but it's also our direct link to God. It's our direct link to our hearts and to our maker. And what I know is that there is validation that lacks in your marriage in both ways. I know that you try to talk to him and he doesn't always make you feel validated. He doesn't always make you feel heard.
Mhm.
He doesn't always make you feel seen. And that's hard. And that's really hard. But I think when we get to those points in our marriage when we don't feel heard and we don't feel seen, we have to look more. We have to try harder. We have to not be like outrageous and like boastful and like, look at me, look at me, look at me. But we have to be like, hey, and have conversations holding hands and date each other. Whenever I go to a wedding, that is always my biggest piece of advice. They have like the little book, you like write your best advice or whatever. And I always put never stop dating each other. Never ever stop dating each other because we are always changing. And my story is very similar to Aaron. My husband and I have been in each other's lives since we were 13 years old, and we are going on 22 years of marriage. Praise God. But it doesn't mean it's easy, you know?
Mhm.
And I get wanting to be in control. And, I don't have a degree in anything, but like I'm not like super educated. But what I know is that when we are seeking control, it's because there was an absence of some kind of nurturing or love in our childhood. And that just is what it is.
Mhm.
Thank God I have three sisters. Thank God that we had each other growing up because there was a lack of nurturing. There was a lack of love. There was a lack of
Safety.
safety.
Mm.
But it's really important to remember that you guys said yes to each other and that he wants to love you. Our husbands want to love us, you guys.
Hmm.
They want us to see them as capable men. And this society is constantly telling us, no, there's no roles in marriage. There's no roles in femininity. There's no roles in male and female. Yes, there is. And this is why we're supposed to lean on each other. And I always say this word, it needs to be my tattoo. We have to surrender. We have to surrender to our Creator. We have to surrender to the things that we've chosen because we are where we want to be. We are where we are supposed to be because we said yes. I love you.
I love you. You're so wise.
Thank you.
I
I'm rooting for you. I always am.
Thank you. I know.
absolutely,
All
absolutely
right,
rooting for you.
He
Scoopalicious.
wants to make you happy, Paula. He really does. And it's clearing away all the pains, all the hurts together, working through it together.
Thank you.
I do want to say two things. We're talking about control. So I have for 20 plus years I've been managing my own bills. I've been doing it all. So when I got married in 2023 and I relinquished all that to him, oh, it was amazing. It was like the just I put all my part of the bills in one account and he took care of everything. It was the greatest thing ever. Like I was like, this feels great. I don't have to worry about anything. So that I have to say was really a big burden off my shoulders because I have been doing it all for so long and just not to have somebody that was taking that burden for me felt amazing. So I want to say that was great. And then secondly, even though it brought tears to my eyes to say that I let go of my safety net and he kept his and he's now there in his safety net, I want to say this. Letting go of that safety net, trusting God and moving and marrying that person was the best decision I ever made. Even though that our marital home right now is currently on the market. Even though things have not worked out the way I had planned, letting go of that apartment, taking that leap of faith was the best decision for me at the time and even now. I have no regrets. Zero. The relationship may not have turned out, but my safety net, oh, well, it's gone. I didn't need it. I'll be all right.
And how many more do you have now? How many properties do you have? Like if we're speaking as property being our safety net.
Well, I have 3 now, including the marital home. I have 3 now.
Big things.
Yeah.
Miss Savvy, you've had your hand up. Thanks, Shannon.
First off, that was a lot of information there for someone so young in her marriage, and so I appreciate hearing you ladies who have been in a place of not struggle but finding barriers and having to learn how to move around those barriers. But one big thing that stood out for me is that the plateau that you spoke about, Lena, the plateau in the relationship that we have to continue to exercise that thing and actively exercise it in order for it to continue to really be spice. And it reminds me of my mom and my stepdad. They always say, you got to keep the honey in the moon. And so, like,
You got to
I
keep the honey in the moon.
I
yes,
love
you
it.
gotta keep the honey in the moon.
Okay.
And so, like, 'cause, the honeymoon phase is it's the beautiful phase. It's that stage where you're just like, "Oh, I love you." And so, like, trying to do that every day it is hard sometimes, because you're just learning each other and you're trying to understand one another. But I love the fact that you guys talked about, making space for your spouses, making space for these barriers. And you guys really worked through those barriers. It wasn't something that you gave up on. We live in a time where people change their relationships like they change their underwear. And, that is just a sad thing. And so being able to work through that and process, it's just really something. I appreciate that information. And then also, Shannon, I just want to say that I love the fact that even in the midst of the enemy trying to, clown and act stupid,
Because that's
to
what
be
he
Mhm.
is.
truthful, because that's
He
what he
is
did.
the enemy.
And so
100%.
yeah,
Yep.
you still have this optimistic outlook on what an actual union is supposed to look like. You still have a visualization of what you know that God has made for us to do for one another as a union. And I love that your heart is still open to wanting to take the leap of faith and take the jump for the next step, because life doesn't stop, and we run into obstacles all the time, and we do have to make changes. Some people are not a get to come along for the ride, right? But just knowing that because you open the door and you let your heart be open and you're willing to allow God to fill that space, I am excited to see what is to come because of your willingness to say, you know what, Lord, here I am. I surrender, and you can fill those spots with whatever you want to fill them with. Yes. And lead me. I trust you. And I love that because you are not going to let hurt and, whatever has taken place bring cancer into your mindset about what a union is supposed to look like.
Yes.
Always forward.
Minu, did you want to share something?
Yes, I think trust is big, takes time to build. But when you're married, I'm sure you've reached that point where you trust each other without a doubt. Have faith in your partner, have faith in yourself, and then leave everything on the superpower. My parents have been married for 48 years and I have not seen them fighting ever. No, it's not that they don't fight. It's not that they don't have disagreements. Everything stays in their bedroom, doesn't come out. My dad always says, he always says to all of us, but especially to my mom, I am your provider and protector. And my mother continues to say, I am your nurturer and a cheap therapist. And it is so funny to listen to that. And I'm like, I wish I can find a partner like that,
You will.
who's ready to be as vulnerable as I am, where he can work on my fears. Coming from India, now time has changed, but women did not have the same footage as men. Women were always told what you need to do, what you need to wear, where you need to go, how you need to look, how you need to talk. So there's no end. And when you're thrown to a world which is like United States, which is completely different, and you're asked, make your choices. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're telling me that I can make decision? I'll make choices? Not easy, because that's your comfort place and you don't want to get out of it. Please tell me what needs to be done. And you have to work on your mindset. So all I can tell you is, not easy to discuss what you are discussing with all of us and a lot of people who are listening out there, but are your best friend and you will make the right decision. Whether it falls flat on your face or not, that part is not in your hands. And you don't have to pay attention to that. You just have to have faith and do the right thing. That's all.
Oh, that's all?
That's all. Today I'm talking.
I have one thing that's related to, I love what you just said, Minu. And one thing that's kind of helping me process a lot of this, and it's hard, is we can either focus on our fears and manifest them, or we can focus on the beauty and the positive and our faith, and we can manifest things from that too. And so we can focus on our past hurts. And for me, when I do that, it keeps repeating over and over and over the same pattern. My fear over the finance piece is rooted in a lot of really deep things, from my childhood too. And the more that I focus on that, I continue to see the same things happening. And I'm really trying to flip that and say, what if I just hand it to him and recognize that all of my fears about what he might not be capable of are so unreal, because he really does want to be a good husband and be a good father and be a good man and wants to show up and do it well, and if I put my faith in that and repeat that of he is capable and he's going to do a good job and he will figure it out. He probably will do it better than I do, and I'm talking myself up in this also, talking through this, processing this. But maybe if we focus on the good, we can manifest that instead of reinforcing our fears.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be such a great coach. We're going to have to talk about that.
Can I ask?
Stay tuned for that information. We have a couple people on here that are going to become some relationship coaches. Stay tuned. Sorry, Savvy.
No. I don't know if I can cite people or say something, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dave Ramsey, what his teachings are. They're unified. And, one thing that I realized when I think about what Lena was kind of talking about was the unity in a marriage that is so important. And Minu talking about the trust of one another. But it makes me wonder when you said, Aaron, you want to give it all to him, what does it look like when you both do it together?
I want to know what's going on, but I honestly, I feel like it's probably something I need to do to hand it over,
Mhm.
to let go of the junk I'm holding on to, the control and so there's more dynamics than just as simple as hand your life over, to someone else. There does have to be the trust and know that somebody has your best intentions at heart also.
And Erin, you cannot hand your life to anybody. You have to be responsible for your own action and you have to take accountability.
Mhm.
Coming from where I'm coming, where I'm like, please tell me, am I doing the right thing? Is it okay? You need a validation. And now I'm like, no, I want to take my own decisions because they are mine. Right or wrong, they are mine. I want to be held accountable. If not now, then when?
Right.
So, Savvy, what you just said about doing things together, that's, that warms my heart. Because when my husband and I come together, even if it's just doing something simple like we're both outside, raking the leaves and picking up trash and cleaning up the yard, or when we're walking the dogs together, like when we're together, I feel that's what I want. I want that closeness. I feel so much more secure when we're doing things together. So I can completely understand your feelings of wanting the control because that's where I've been operating for the majority of my life is I have to do it. I have to be the one to handle it. If I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it or they won't do it right. That very much comes from a place of fear and insecurity. But in those moments where my husband and I are, again, even just doing something so simple as picking up leaves, I feel so much closer to him. I feel so much more secure. So, of course, we are talking about all of our options for how to handle this huge financial burden. And it feels so good when we can come together and have, hard conversations and explore all options and we're in this together. I loved what you said, Carolina, about like holding hands and looking at each other and having like heart to heart conversations because that's hard, to sit with someone. And I've heard other, therapists or individuals say that to really look into each other's eyes is like one of the most vulnerable things
Yes.
that we can do. So I'm going to take that advice and have that heart to heart conversation. And I did tell him when we were talking about our various options, I did tell him, my fear of, or why I think I've been hanging on to this property, which is a rental property and it does, benefit us financially, is because maybe I'm 99.9% in to this marriage and not 100% because of the history. And he said, I'm all in. That feels good. And still there's that 0.1% of doubt in my, not doubt. I don't doubt him. Maybe I doubt myself. Maybe I have a 0.1% doubt in the strength of the marriage. And that's what I wrestle with and pray about and meditate about and think about on a day-to-day basis. But you guys are also so loving and so wise and so kind in your advice and in your own vulnerability. So thank you. Thank you so much for supporting me and being loving. Savvy and Scoopa.
Well, I did actually see where they were saying, and some people can't do this. I don't know if I can sit Indian style for too long, but you sit Indian style with your partner with your knees touching and you're holding your hand and you're looking at each other. You're looking each other in the eye and have these conversations. I did see that. So it's funny that you brought that up. It's very vulnerable, intimate time to have that conversation. But I just want to switch here to a business aspect and thinking, okay, what about not relinquishing the property? We're not talking relationship, just business aspect. Taking out a home equity line of credit on the business property to cover the cost of repair, or
And
taking a
putting
home.
it in both of their names.
Well, I don't know if you could do that if the property isn't in both of your names, or taking a home equity line of credit on the residential home that you're in right now. But just taking a business aspect, because you are generating an income, you are generating passive income on the rental property right now. So
Uh-huh.
you have two options. Of course, you can always refinance, but I'm more of a person who's like, let's do a HELOC because you're only paying
Equity, yeah.
interest. Yeah, you're only
Mhm.
paying the interest for the however many years the bank gives it to you for. But that's something you can look at too. You have the home that you live in, and then you have the residential property that you can pull a HELOC on. So that's what I did. I pulled a HELOC on one of my rentals, and I used that HELOC to buy my second rental. And then after I have this one for a little bit, I'll pull a HELOC, pay the other HELOC off, and then use it to buy the next property. Just in a, if it's something you wanted to keep to get that, continue with that passive income, that's something that you might want to consider too. You have options. That's what's great, is that you have options.
Yes. Savvy, did you have something you wanted to share?
I was just gonna say that I really look forward to sitting in a rocking chair with my husband when we're 100 years old. And
Smoking that
that
blunt.
that's what I think.
Boy,
Most definitely.
Let me mute.
I guess because I don't really believe in manifestation. I just know that the desires of my heart are strong enough. And that's what I desire, is to sit in that rocking chair. And so when I thought about what you were saying, Paula, about how you were thinking about that with you and your husband, just, looking into each other's eyes and having that discussion, that hard conversation, I think about maybe thinking about what it looks like for you long down the road, so that when those hard conversations come up, you're like, wow, this is really what we're fighting for, boo. That rocking chair, deck on it. Your rocking chair, my rocking chair. And that's something in our forefront. It's like a vision board that you just keep present at all times. So I just wanted to share that.
I love that.
Imagine, here we were not sure what topic will we have, and this was such a fantastic topic to have a discussion around.
Yeah,
It was.
Paula just pressed record and said, "Hey, here we go. Let's do this."
I have something to say. Well, thank you, ladies. You are all, again, so wise and so generous and so loving. And I'm so fortunate that I have my Sunday scoops when things come up. Thank you again for all your words of wisdom. I think that's the scoop for this Sunday. Of course, we all have a lot of things that we work on daily: our relationships, our friendships, our jobs, our children. And that's why we love coming together on Sundays to support each other, talk about the things that are on our hearts, and, as we've said before, to always scoop each other up. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to the Sunday Sundae podcast, and we will see you next week.
Happy
Have
Sunday,
a great
Sunday.
week, everyone. Happy Sunday, Sunday.
Sunday.
Stay blessed.